Up everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to watch the Fountain Hook game. This is gonna be my first video in my new Dota history series, where what I want to do is I want to go back into the internationals from past years and just have a look at all of the cool games. I'm gonna go ahead and pick out my favorites, the ones that I think are the most noteworthy. I mean, I have now rewatched the entire internationals, like all of them, so I mean, I might as well go ahead and pick out some cool stuff for us to watch, right? But I do also want to ask you guys for games that you want to see, right? If you have any suggestions, if you have anything that you are interested in, if you want me to have a look at, for example, TA3 Game 5 Grand Finals, then just, leave a comment, let me know so that I know what to prioritize and where to do my research and, what to kind of set up for you. Now, today we're going to be watching Na'Vi versus Tong Fu in the upper bracket round 2 at the International 3, which is a very fun game, and I'm sure you've heard of it. I don't know if you've seen it though, so that's why I thought this would be a good one to watch. Now, I also want to ask you right now to give the video a thumbs up if you like this, because this is a new thing I'm going to start doing on the channel, and I can only do it if it actually gets viewership. So, for YouTube to know that they should recommend it, that's generally a good thing to do. Anyway, let me go ahead and get into it. So, this is TI3. Before I start talking about the game, let me briefly talk about how I want to make these videos. So we are watching the live broadcast that was, streamed at the time, and we are mildly listening to the commentary in the background. I am playing the commentary in the background so that there's a little bit of like ambience, because otherwise it would just be quiet, right? And then also because I think it's kind of fun to hear the casters get excited and to hear the crowd and all of that. But I hope it's not distracting. So you kind of gotta tell me if this is okay, if this sounds okay. All right, I'm still experimenting a little bit. Anyway, draft is almost finished. And as you can see, it is Tong Fu going up against Na'Vi here. Tong Fu already has a really powerful draft. They have Visage, which is actually the most contested hero in this tournament. And then other than that, they have a pretty standard lineup here. Darkseer for the offlane, right? And then you can have the Gyrocopter as the carry, with Rubik and Visage as the supports. And then they are just missing a mid. On the other side, we have Na'Vi, and Na'Vi have Pudge, which is not a good hero. Let me just go ahead and say this. Pudge was not good at the time. A lot of the things that modern Pudge has that make him somewhat okay just didn't exist back then, or weren't really a possibility. Despite that, Na'Vi just kind of liked Pudge, and Dendi was a really good Pudge player. So that would result in even other teams respecting the pick, and Pudge actually sometimes getting banned out against Na'Vi, despite no other team possibly considering him a viable option. I'll talk a little bit about why Pudge is considered weak in a moment, but for now, I want to let you guys know about some fun statistics. So, this is upper bracket round 2. Na'Vi beat their first round pretty cleanly, so did Tong Fu, nothing interesting there. But group stages, Na'Vi went 11-3. So they did a really, really good job there. They managed to make their way through the group stages very effectively, and they are looking strong in this tournament. Na'Vi, of course, is also the team that got second at TI2, and then they won TI1. Now, this might be a bit controversial to say, but I personally don't put that much weight on them winning TI1. TI1 was not that competitive. There just weren't that many good teams there. Na'Vi was good. I'm not saying that Na'Vi wasn't good. They were easily the best team. But that's kind of the problem. They were easily the best team. It was just not a real competition, right? That is not true for TI2 though. At TI2 they played really well against proper strong competition, and they still made it into the grand finals. So Na'Vi is definitely considered a team that is like strong and respectable, and they're doing really well coming into this tournament. Despite this, Na'Vi is not considered the favorite to win the tournament. That would be Alliance. Alliance made it through the group stage 14-0, and they kind of destroyed their previous matches as well, or like their main stage matches up to this point as well. So Alliance is looking absolutely terrifying, and the winner of this, in all likelihood, is gonna have to play Alliance. Now, this is game 3. The first game went to Na'Vi, and Na'Vi picked Pudge in that first game. They picked Pudge once already in the group stage, they managed to win with him there too. And then in game 1, Na'Vi won with Pudge. They put Dendi on Pudge in the mid lane, had him farm up a bunch, and then actually kind of had him give up the mid lane and used him to just roam around the map a little bit. Also, back in the day, power runes would just spawn at minute 0. So Chabost, getting really lucky there, picks up the power rune and is able to run out. Now this is where this lineup from Tongfu gets really interesting. Usually you would expect Darkseer to be picked for the solo lane, right, for the off lane. In this particular case, that's actually the top lane, not the bottom lane. But that's not what Tongfu did. After the Pudge pick came out, they adjusted and they put the Darkseer into the mid instead to fight against the Pudge. And I do want to say that this is an adjustment. Nobody picks Darkseer for mid. That was just not really a thing. Darkseer is a good hero, don't get me wrong. He's just not a mid hero, right? But of course he works well against Pudge. So they picked him up for the offlane, but then realized, we're playing against Pudge and we lost against Pudge earlier. So let's go ahead and put Darkseer against him. Now that is a lot of respect given to this hero and given to this player. Does Pudge deserve it? No. Absolutely not. Pudge is terrible. Pudge is just not a good hero at the time. As I mentioned earlier, Pudge does not have a lot of the tools that a modern Pudge has that kind of make him good. For example, Pudge can't use Blink Dagger. Now you might be like, what do you mean he can't use it? Is it like 2 mana expensive? Is it just, does he not have the money? No, he's just straight up forbidden from using it. If you are playing Pudge, you can't buy Blink Dagger. It is just illegal. You will go to jail. Why? It's probably because the developers were worried about Pudge blinking onto cliffs, which there were a lot more back then. There aren't that many cliffs today anymore, but there were a lot more cliffs back in the day. But Pudge would blink onto cliffs that you couldn't walk down from and then just hook people onto the cliffs and then blink off the cliff. And that way Pudge could then, you know, trap people on cliffs. And that would be bad. You don't really want that. So I think that's why it was disallowed on Pudge. It was also disallowed on Vengeful. Now that by itself is actually not the biggest deal. You could buy Force Staff, which is okay, right? The other things that are missing are a much bigger issue though. So there's nothing like, for example, an Eternal Shroud. That just doesn't exist. If you want magic resistance, Pipe is your only option. There's no spell lifesteal, which of course is incredibly useful on Pudge, but it just doesn't exist in the game. Cooldown reduction? Nope. Talents? Nope. Anything that actually makes your hero more powerful in today's metagame, anything that makes Pudge really work, just wasn't a thing really. So the hero just struggled. And it showed. Nobody picked Pudge. Ever. The hero was just not something that was being picked. He was not being drafted. Oh wow, look at this Doom just barely making his way out of there. The only team that would ever pick Pudge is Na'Vi. And they would only use it on Dendi. Which I find very funny. Especially since Na'Vi is a team that's actually pretty open to kind of swapping around player positions. For example, at TI2, Lycan was a really big hero, really important hero. And you know who played Lycan on Na'Vi? Poppy. Yeah, they gave Puppy Lycan, and they wouldn't play him as a support. That was a core jungling Lycan that they would play. But they gave it to Puppy, probably because Puppy is best at micromanagement. And I find that really interesting that Na'Vi is kind of willing to do that kind of stuff. Now, here's one thing that Pudge could do back in the day that actually made him, you know, that helped him out a bunch, which was bottle crowing. Which, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a courier in the mid lane just sitting there right now. And yeah, there you go. So see, look at this. The Pudge is just kind of like running around, has a courier on his back. He's going to put his bottle on the courier and then send the courier back to the base, which is going to refill the bottle, and then he's going to bring it back into the mid lane. Pudge had a really interesting property during this era as well, specifically his hook. The way the hook worked is that when you hit something with the hook would then return that target to the Pudge. Now that sounds really similar to how it works today, but it's actually not. Today's hook works in the way that if you hit something with the hook will return that target to where you cast the hook, right? To wherever that original location was. It will not return the target to where the Pudge is right now. And that is what this is all about. Also, one second. Hello! I'm recording something though. Hello. Alright. Sorry, what was I saying? Yes, the hook would return the target to wherever the Pudge is at right now. And that was a really important aspect of the hero. Because you could use that, right? You could use that to reposition yourself, either through force staff or just walking. Or with Chen. Now, in game 1 between Navi and Tongfu, Navi did try to go for a fountain hook. And it failed. They didn't manage to do it. I think they tried 2 or 3 times and they just couldn't really pull it off. Their timing was a little off and it felt like something they were just like, I don't know, let's give this a go. Because we're having a fun time, because we're kind of stomping this game right now. And it just didn't work, right? So going into this game, I don't believe they had any plans to actually go for fountain hooking. I don't think that was their strategy. And here's another little piece of evidence as to why I think that. It's because Dendi said that they had no idea they were gonna do this. They didn't pick Chen and Pudge because they were planning to fountain hook. They picked Chen because Puppy is the best Chen player, and they picked Pudge because Dendi is the best Pudge player. They just wanted these heroes. The fact that this combo was possible was really more of a coincidence than it was intentional. Oh, Pudge is going to go ahead and smoke up and start ganking. In the meantime, you can see the Alchemist is sitting in the bottom lane. Alchemist is currently struggling a lot. You may notice Alchemist is even going for a 3-2-0 build, so no points into Grievous Greed at all. Why is that? Well, first of all, there are no bounty runes. They just don't exist. So you don't get bonus gold from bounty runes. That's just not something you can really count on. And that makes it so there's less of a reason to skill Grievous Greed if you're not getting last hits. And the Alchemist isn't getting last hits. You know, you might say, oh, he's got 22 of them. Yeah, but that's probably just with Acid Spray, right? And if he didn't level up Acid Spray, he probably wouldn't have gotten those last hits as well. It's also important because he was being pressured in the bottom lane and he... Oh, nice hook. Dendi gets 1 kill of that. Look at that. Look at him go. Sorry, I was just excited. Very good. So, but the Alchemist is just kind of like sitting in the bottom lane and farming up and taking it easy. Chen is going to teleport back Pudge. I should probably mention that. I don't know if Chen still has that property. I don't believe so. So for a very long time, one of Chen's abilities could be cast on allies, and it would teleport them back to the fountain after a delay. This ability was incredibly important and incredibly powerful because it worked through everything. Target is stunned, doesn't matter, gets teleported back. Target is taking damage, right? Does it get disabled by damage? Nope, just goes back to the fountain. Anything that could happen, doesn't matter. Target is going back to the fountain once the timer hits. Oh, okay, Pudge is kind of like roaming around, maybe trying to mess with the Doom. And nice hook. Gonna go ahead and protect the Windrunner. Should I call her Windrunner or Windranger? I'll call her Windrunner, because she is the Windrunner in this patch, right? Now, this is TI3. TI3 is a tournament that is very much a tri-lane meta. What that means is teams are not necessarily capable of contesting the enemy's safe lane. Because, well, the other side is committing a lot of resources into protecting their safe lane by having 2 supports. This is also the era of 4 protect 1. So that means that teams are drafted in a way that they have 1 core carry, 1 hero that is the most crucial part, and then the rest of the team mostly just exists to support that hero. Tongfu's lineup is a perfect example of a 4 protect 1 strat. So you can see that there's the Gyrocopter, who is the main carry. Then Darkseer is more of a supporting guy, right? He gives Surge, he gives Iron Shell, he pulls things together so he can do damage, but he doesn't really do the damage himself. Of course, Rubik and Visage are just supports, and then Doom, again, more of a supporting hero, more of a hero that will protect the gyrocopter and allow the gyrocopter to deal damage than necessarily a hero that's going to do most of the damage himself. So this is a full protect one lineup. That's not to say that Doom isn't going to buy items. Doom will buy items. It's just that the entire team is structured around the idea of the gyrocopter. And 4 Protect 1 is pretty much the expected in this tournament. There are, some exceptions to that. Funnily enough, I think Na'Vi and Alliance are the two teams that play a bit differently, where Alliance puts more emphasis on the offlaner, on Admiral Bulldog, letting Bulldog farm up and letting him actually become strong in addition to the safe lane carry. And Na'Vi, they kind of just do whatever they want to. They play much more aggressively than the other teams. But even there, you can see that this is a pretty slow game. We're 10 minutes, we've only seen 4 kills total. Neither team is really ganking that much. This is very much normal for TI3. I've made a controversial statement before where I say that TI3 is one of the worst TIs to rewatch. But maybe you kind of get a bit of that, energy now, right? Like, it's just a lot of Noah. Sorry, my cat is being silly. Here. Hey, Flair! Thanks for the 37 months. Thank you. So, sorry, but TI3 is very much a tournament that is about farming and getting your heroes farmed and getting them nice and powerful. And that's pretty much the entire thing. It's not so much a very active meta game. You can see here that both sides are pushing, and the other team isn't putting a lot of resources into trying to defend or engaging in a fight, because taking a fight is risky. You don't want to take a fight if you can avoid it. Noah, I'm trying to do commentary here. What a bad cat. He's attacking my backpack. I like my backpack. Please stop. Okay. Sorry. Now, Doom has a fun ability here. Doom, during this era, didn't have his Inferno Blade. He had an ability called Level Death, which was a single target spell that did a set amount of damage. So it did like, I don't know, it just did like 250 damage or something like that. Not at all levels that scaled up, right? But it just did a certain amount of damage. And then, if the opponent's level was a multiplier of a number, so 6, 4, 5, 3, or 25, then it would deal 20% of the opponent's maximum HP as bonus damage. Which is a very strange ability, but still very, very powerful. Also, Dendi going in way too aggressively there. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. Nyx Assassin goes down, Dendi so does go down, Chen goes down, Gyrocopter survives. So, pretty big disaster for Na'Vi there. Honestly, they don't get a single kill, they lose 3 heroes. Now, you may also notice something kind of funky. There's an Alchemist down on the bottom lane who didn't skill Grievous Greed, but is still just farming. That is also pretty normal for this tournament. So, something that's kind of weird about TI3 is, while it does very often have 3 Protect 1, the games tend to be very long, right? They tend to be kind of drawn out matches. And because of that, teams are pretty willing to just say, hey, let's pick a carry. We will use that carry to kind of like play early game. And then let's just hope that that carry somehow gets enough money in the long run. That attitude is pretty common, where it's just kind of like, I'm sure they'll find their money somehow. And you can see that here with this Alchemist as well. And Na'Vi, they've kind of been moving around the map in a way where they're mostly focusing on the Windrunner and on the Pudge, right? Those are the 2 heroes that they've been protecting. But Hawas at the bottom, he's just chilling there, and now he's getting to farming. So you can see he's actually like caught up now, which is very good. Because that early rotation has kind of bought him some space. Tongfu is going to go and take that kill now. But nonetheless, It's this weird situation of just kind of saying, the game will take long enough that the hero will find money
Love
eventually.
the content.
Hey, Silver Pandas, thank you very much. Navi completely outdrafted this game, literally can't fight 5 versus 5 ever. Yeah, Navi's draft is not that good. Oh, there's the first attempt. Oh, so this is a missed fountain hook right here. I'm glad we got to see one. You can see the timing was wrong. Oh, you got this member. That's funny. Nice, they take phonic. But so there were 2 mistakes there. First of all, of course, the hook hit the creep, which isn't right. But also the creep arrived at the Pudge before the Pudge got teleported back to the base. Very important aspect for this to work. There we go. The hook needs to connect, and then the Pudge needs to be teleported back to the base before the target arrives at the Pudge. So this is the plan. They connect with the hook and then teleport the Pudge back in. And they just killed the gyrocopter this way. There was almost no chance of them taking this fight otherwise. Tong Fu was in such a good position, right? They were pushing, they were feeling nice and powerful. But now they lose 3 heroes and all they get in return is a Chen. Absolutely brutal, isn't it? And that's just something that can happen. They might even lose the... Oh no! They might even lose the Doom here. Oh, there's a Doom. I think Dendi is dead. Gonna try to deny him probably. Nice! Look at that. With the creep. Something fun about this era of Dota. This is before a lot of the power creep happened. So there's a lot of power creep in Dota that I think people are aware of. Stuff like, for example, just, you know, talents, neutral items, right? Like naturally those things make heroes more powerful now than they were back in the day. But there was also just power creep in general. Heroes just have more stats. Items just give bigger value. You can just get more power in today's Dota more quickly than you can back then. So for example, strength back in the day gave 19 HP and now it gives 20. I know that may not seem like a big deal, and it isn't, but there are just multiple of those smaller instances that add up. Hero stat growth was just lower across the board. That's been slowly power crept over the years, which means heroes are just overall weaker, which in turn means that when Chen is dominating those big creeps, which he can dominate one of those big creeps at minute 1, those are terrifying. They are actually genuinely very, very powerful. Oh, we're gonna go for this ancient camp here. Ancients, stacking ancients like this, hard to kill. Do you know why? Because they're magic immune. Yeah, they're just fully magic immune. They don't take magic damage. You can't affect them with magic. Acid Spray, of course, is physical damage. So Acid Spray does work, which makes Alchemist a good candidate for clearing these camps. Alright, 1 second. My cat is longingly staring at the door. I'm gonna go ahead and let him out really quick. Alright. Kick the cat out, apologies. And here we are, we're back in the game. So Tong Fu is playing pretty aggressively, and I think that's because they are worried about the Alchemist coming online eventually. Yes, as much as Alchemist didn't have the best start, and I know that may seem weird because hey, Alchemist is out-farming the gyrocopter, but it's an Alchemist, right? Like Alchemist is supposed to out-farm a gyrocopter. An Alchemist who's only 1,000 gold ahead of a gyrocopter at 18 minutes is not having a good game. He's just not having a great game. So, Alchemist is not doing as well as you really want him to. And so Tong Fu is like, okay, you know what? Let's use this. Let's go ahead and try to push. And look at their movement on the map. They're always grouped up around the gyrocopter. Again, this is 4 protect 1. Ah, they didn't quite get it. 4 protect 1 strats are all about their big core, about their big carry.
Hey Baumi, I just washed
Dr.
my
Evil.
car on the weekend and now it's orange brown anyway. Narcissist has called her ALS dress in Baumi 7.
Hey, Dr. Evil. Yes, it was orange. Oh, there's a hook. Not a fountain hook this time, just a normal hook. But the Visage is still in a bad spot. Doom on the Alchemist, and that's a kill. Alright, top tower getting pushed. Nice hook there, though. Dendi gets himself a kill. Hook does do a lot of damage. Hook did do a lot of damage back then as well. Did like 360 damage. Wasn't pure, I believe. I'm not sure about that, actually. Maybe worth looking up. But anyway. Now, you may also notice something kind of funky. The item build from the Alchemist, just rushing the Shadow Blade. Actually pretty standard back then. That was a pretty normal item build. You would just get a Shadow Blade, which seems a little weird to me now looking back at it. Like, I understand that it is the meta, it is the standard choice, but it still feels a bit odd and not that strong. Might just been like a quirk of like the understanding of the game at that time. The important thing to realize here is that you can't upgrade the Shadow Blade. Silver Edge doesn't exist. In fact, a lot of the really powerful late game items, right, they just don't exist. Octarine Core, that's not a thing. Alright, that doesn't exist. Can't have that. You can't have upgraded Blink Daggers. The, Tranquil Boots, those obviously don't upgrade. There's no Silver Edge, there's no Bloodthorn. A lot of this stuff just wasn't really an option. So you kind of need to keep that a little bit in mind. Of course, there's also still a selection of like late game items that do exist. For example, Soul Cuirass, Skadi, Satanic, Abyssal Blade, like that kind of stuff was definitely still a thing. So it wasn't too bad, but you just had less options. And you couldn't upgrade everything. They're gonna go ahead and just go for Roshan. Also, Old Pit. Gyro gets the Aegis. Now that's an important item to get, right? That's very valuable. Aegis is more valuable back in the day, in my opinion, because farming was just slower. Heroes just don't have as many items. So getting a resurrection means that, you get more value out of it. You're not necessarily giving up an inventory slot. Look at this Gyrocopter. It's 21 minutes into the game, and the Gyrocopter has Boots, Aquila, and a BKB. And that is good farm, right? This Gyrocopter is doing well. This is just how much money you had back in the day. It just wasn't as abundant. So you really needed to get the most out of everything that you could. You can see both teams are being very cautious. It's hard to engage. The 4 Protect 1 means that anytime you try to go for a catch on anyone, you are immediately taking a massive risk. Oh, rest in peace, Rubik. No, friend. I mean, it's not the biggest, most important kill, but you know what this does do? It delays the Dire from pushing. It stops the Dire from actually moving in and overwhelming the Radiant right now. And late game probably still goes to the Alchemist. And that's important to remember here, is the Alchemist is a hero that is still around and really powerful. And he's gonna get his money eventually. It's gonna take a while, but he'll get there. Now, here's another thing that might seem a little weird. Ooh, that's the creep. Here's another thing that might seem a little bit weird. The role distribution. You may notice the Windrunner's item build. She just has a force staff. She's not going for any sort of right click, not going for any damage. You don't necessarily have what we would consider in modern terms 3 cores. You might have 2, you might even just have 1. Na'Vi is really playing with a singular core and then 4 supports as well. Right? Both teams are really playing that way. Although I think Tong Fu, they are more leaning towards a dual core with the Doom actually getting a lot of money as well. Now let me go ahead and clarify something. I think I may have expressed this poorly earlier. But you can do Fountain Hook by throwing out the hook and then being teleported back. Like the hook just needs to be flying. As long as the hook is flying and it connects with something, that will result in a Fountain Hook. Oh, there's the Alchemist, comes in. Ooh, that's brutal. Look at that. Big vacuum. Rubik even steals the stun. But luckily the Chen creeps are there. And you see how long it takes the Dire to deal with the Chen creeps. Chen was just such a powerful hero back in the day. Navi definitely just got saved by Puppy just waltzing in all of those creeps, soaking a bunch of hits and kind of acting as a meat shield. I think otherwise that could have resulted in quite a disaster for the Radiant. So good job there. I do have to say, like, the way Puppy plays really feels ahead of his time in a lot of this stuff. Like, it's a little crazy to me. Alright. Visage Familiar is immune to stuns. The Familiar kept moving while Visage stays stuns. Oh yeah, I think the birds are magic immune. Yeah, I do believe that they are just magic immune. Magic immunity was just something that was handed out pretty freely to creeps. There were just a lot of creeps that just wear magic immune. You know what's also a fun little thing you may have noticed? Windrunner not actually skilling her ultimate. She just doesn't have it. Why not? Because it's kind of bad. It gives you a bunch of attack speed, which is great, but it doesn't give you the property of being able to attack while moving. So it's just a bunch of attack speed and you have to stand still to do it. So in a lot of circumstances, you don't really want to stand still. As a Windrunner, your main job is to connect with as many shackle shots in a fight as you can. That's what you're there for. You want to stun people. You're essentially just a walking magic missile. Oh, do they get it? Not quite. That was very close though. So as long as you can just keep throwing out those shackle shots, you're good. Hook. Oh! No! Doom! And there's the Alchemist waiting as well. Absolutely brutal. And this is making such a big difference. Because that's a big kill. That guy is worth a lot of money, right? Pudge is gonna go ahead and just move in a little bit right here. So you can see that Dendi, he's stopped farming. Like, he's just not actually getting any creeps. He's got 4,700 gold. Soon the Chen will catch up. That's because all of the money that the Radiant can farm is reserved for the Alchemist. Because the rest of the team needs to be next to the Alchemist to protect him. Ah, missed it a little bit, mistimed it. So the rest of the team needs to be next to the Alchemist to protect him, to make sure nothing goes wrong. And so it's not really an option for the Pudge to farm, because that would mean taking money away from the Alchemist. You can see Puppy doesn't even have a full set of creeps, because again, you need to make sure that everything you can give to the Alchemist goes to the Alchemist. So it's just, yeah, one of those things there. Alchemist now has that Assault Cross, pretty common item as well. Like, you could actually do just a lot of damage with an Acid Spray Assault Cross, reduce enemies' armor by quite a lot, and then you just, you know, slap them a bit. I know by modern standards that may not seem like that would do a lot of damage, but back then, again, I mean, look at these items. You've got boots and a magic wand on a lot of these supports. That's all they've got. I mean, 27 minutes, boots and magic wand. This is, by the way, I grew up in this era of Dota, right? And so I could not stand playing support back then. Just absolutely not. Because it was not fun to just have 2 items for the entire game. That's just my opinion, but I couldn't. Oh, they're gonna get... Do they get the... Yeah, they do get the Alchemist there. Very good. Can they get Kuroki? Lift him up. BKB is active. Very good. Down goes the Nyx. So far it's been a 2-for-1. But Pudge is still alive. Tries to go for a combo. Doesn't get it. And now Puppy is in a bad spot. There goes the Chen. They connect with the stun on the Enchantress. Not Enchantress, Windrunner. But they don't really have anything. Oh, it's an arrow of poverty. This is not as bad as TI1. TI1, like, sorry. These heroes right now are rich compared to TI1. Because at least they have upgraded boots. I have seen so many TI1 Vengers that just had brown boots and a magic wand at 35 minutes game end screen. It's just brutal, I have to tell you. Just a very, very unfortunate time to be a vengeful. Alright, it seems that the Gyrocopter now has enough money saved up to be able to afford something. Roshan is really important during this era as well. That's because of the way Aegis works. Back then, Aegis just lasted, I believe, 10 minutes. I don't know, maybe they changed it for TI7? Sorry, I'm not entirely sure about that. Maybe we can look that up in the meantime. But the Aegis was reclaimed by Roshan when he respawned. Which means he could, you could just have it and carry it around for quite a lengthy period of time. Yeah, no, it's not 10 minutes, it is 6 minutes now. Yeah, there you go. I'm actually not quite sure how it worked when Roshan respawned. Oh, apologies. I'll make sure I look that up for next time. There's so much stuff that's different today from when it was back then. Part of the reason why I'm making these videos as well is because it makes me ask these kind of questions. It makes me think about it, and I'm really interested in this kind of stuff. So, there's going to be moments where I am not quite fully educated, and I apologize for that. But I'll make sure that I look this up and we figure this out. Ah, there we go. Roshan now reclaims the Aegis of the Immortal. Aegis of the Immortal, oh, says it twice. When he respawns 10 minutes after his death, if it was not used yet. No, wait, that's not super useful. The question is, does the Aegis run out before Roshan respawns? That's the big question I'm worried about right now. But either way, because I know at TI1, Aegis would just straight up last 10 minutes, and when it ran out, Roshan would respawn. Alright, there's Roshan, he's back. I've got a Soul Cross on the Doom as well. Doom, of course, was also one of those super good farmers, although he is falling behind a little bit now, because he needs to give all of his money to the gyrocopter. Again, for Protect 1, right? If you pay attention to the minimap, both teams are always moving in these big clusters. They're never splitting up. Because being split up usually means that you die. One of the big reasons is because there's just not as much mobility, right? There are no outposts to teleport to, no shrines to teleport to. Blink Dagger is expensive. You just can't really casually get a Blink Dagger. Heroes are just generally slower. You don't have casual face boots and a lot of the supports or anything like that because they can't afford them, or force staffs, right? Anything like that to catch up to the heroes. So it's difficult to connect with your team if you are ever caught out. You're just gonna have to be abandoned. And that's a big reason why teams just didn't split up as much, because if you get caught out, you're gonna die. And there isn't really enough mobility to do anything about that. Oh, Darkseer is moving, I think, towards a Hex, probably? It's very funny, just going for brown boots make Hex. I mean, how else are you ever gonna get the item, right? It's expensive. Alright, we're smoking up. And Roshan is important. Alright, that's the big thing. Tongfu is still looking ahead, well ahead, right? The Alchemist is out farming the gyrocopter by a little bit, but Doom is just making a huge difference, right? The equivalent to Doom is really the Pudge. So, and the Doom has 7,000 more net worth than the Doom, than the Pudge. I would say that at this point in time, Tongfu probably has a net worth lead of about 8,000 to 9,000, which is a lot, of course. Hey, the meat power! Thank you very much for the 2 months. Appreciate it. But yeah, at this point, I would say Tongfu has about an 8,000 to 9,000 net worth lead, which is a ton. That's a crazy amount. I mean, that would be a lot even for modern Dota, right? 8,000 net worth lead. I mean, it wouldn't be game winning necessarily, but there's definitely a burden placed on Na'Vi, the burden of the outplay. They need to be the ones that figure out a way to beat Tongfu despite being behind. Honestly, still trying to figure out the Aegis thing. Yeah, sometimes the stuff is really difficult to find. For sure, for sure. I am slowly, bit by bit, piecing together all of the information, right? But it's really one of those things where if you go back enough in time, or really everything before TI5, you have to just kind of hope that the lengths aren't broken, that the statistics are kind of true. Alright, they find themselves the Doom, but the Doom is already used, so that's the most important thing there. Gyrocopter standing in the middle of this BKB is active. And a teleport out on somebody. Hey, Maximus, thank you very much. Puppy retreating. And it seems that somehow this fight is going to disengage with 0 losses. Did nobody die? That is crazy. I am actually blown away by the fact that nobody died here. Okay. Alright, Navi is now coming in. You know, they're hanging around in the area, and you can definitely feel that both teams, they want to go for Roshan. That's your big playmaking opportunity. The Gyrocopter finished up a Butterfly. Now, Butterfly is as an item was a lot better back then. Not because it gave better stats, it gave worse stats. Pretty much everything gave worse stats. That's because MKB was just expensive. You couldn't get an MKB just like casually while going up against the hero of a Butterfly. If you bought a Butterfly, there's a good chance that either your opponent was never going to get an MKB and you just have evasion now, or that there's a significant delay on the opponent getting an MKB, and at least you get to use evasion for a good little while. Alright, is this Alchemist gonna get an MKB? Probably not. I mean, what is he gonna, like, I don't know. It seems not like the best item, but then again, who knows, right? Maybe it's right. It's one of those things where it comes down a bit to a judgment call. Feels like the Alchemist needs to focus a bit on his survival, but then again, he needs to be able to kill the Gyrocopter somehow. And that's the power of the Butterfly back then, right? It posed a serious problem. It posed a serious question that you need to figure out how to deal with. And even if the Alchemist gets an MKB, you can bet that none of the other heroes are. How? They don't have that kind of money, right? So none of the other heroes are ever gonna get an MKB, so you have evasion against them. It's one of those things where really the fact that heroes have so much money these days, right, and they can't just buy items. I'm not saying that that's bad, but it does mean that items like MKB and Butterfly, that interaction doesn't really work in the same way anymore that it used to. Alright, Tong Fu is gonna go out and take Aegis. Of course, they give it to the Gyrocopter, and now they are looking incredibly powerful. Right, they are super far ahead. Doom on Puppy, but he did throw it out, and there's the hook. That's the big one. How pulled all the way back to the fountain, and Navi is just disengaging. They're just trying to get out. They probably have to surrender Phonic here. Yeah, the Windrunner's gonna go down, but look at what they're getting in return. They get a kill on the Gyrocopter, not just once, but twice. There was no way they would have ever won this fight. Right? I mean, you've seen the rest of this game. Tong Fu is really far ahead. This Gyrocopter is terrifyingly powerful. I don't think the Alchemist can win one-on-one against the Gyrocopter. But you know who can do it? Good old Dendi on that good old Pudge. He can pull it out. And he gets that kill, working on a BKB now, which of course is just, I mean, BKB is a classic. I've said this before, but Dota as a game, it's built on two things. It's built on Magic Missile and BKB. And this has always been true. This is just the core component, the heart and soul of Dota. But yeah, you can see Alchemist actually going for a Basher, not going for an MKB here. So that means Gyrocopter just has evasion, and that just means that the Gyrocopter is really, really hard to kill. That last fight was very close. You could also see that Tong Fu, they were actually targeting down Puppy. They were trying to prevent this. There's a hook! Oh! Just out of nowhere. Tong Fu, they thought they were safe. And it does break the 4 Protect 1, right? Because usually the problem of 4 Protect 1 is that it's really hard to kill any bit of it, because you're always escalating to a big team fight. If you try to kill a support, you're still engaging in a fight with everybody else. Oh, nice, good kill, look at that. Yes, the Alchemist is now here. And they are fighting with an advantage. It's now 3 versus 5. You know, Pudge still has a stun. Not the strongest hero overall, but it's just they have more heroes. They have more power. They're gonna get a team wipe off of this. And at this stage, maybe they are not so far ahead anymore. You know, maybe now Na'Vi actually has the lead. Those were some huge, huge wins. Big team wipe, big team wipe. And it came all off the back of that Fountain Hook. And again, that may seem like, okay, well, you know what, is it really that hard to kill a support? Yes, it is. Because you're not just going in to kill a support. You're going in to kill the entire enemy team, because the enemy team is there. They are going to fight you. During this era of Dota, if you want to kill the Visage, you're gonna have to kill the Gyrocopter. And of course, if you want to kill the Gyrocopter, you're gonna have to kill the Visage. You need to take down the entire team. But this strat just broke that. And they were able to break that 4 protect one, take heroes out of it. And there's another hook. This time just the proper hook, but do they get how? They get how. Alchemist just standing in the middle here, taking a lot of damage. Ooh, I wonder if he's gonna die. Looking pretty scary. There goes the Doom. Buyback is not really on the table, because that's a lot of money. Buyback is expensive. And the Alchemist does, however, buyback. Of course it's an Alchemist. Alchemist has a lot of money. They're gonna go ahead. They take the racks here. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, they take down a lane of racks. Wait, I wanna... Look, yeah. Hey, look, my guess wasn't too bad. They were ahead by like 8,000-9,000 gold. Just about, but now they made it all back. Massive swing, right? How much money does an Alchemist at 40 minutes have nowadays? Probably twice as much, I would guess. And experience, of course, look at that. What would you say to a Dota 2 team consisting of 6 16-year-olds? I would say that you all have a player too much. What you gonna do with 6 players? You might wanna need to count that one again. I mean, I don't know what is to say there. ISC was such a hype voice. I like ISC. I don't know what happened to him. He just kind of disappeared. But I really liked him. Actually, one of my favorite casters. Look at that. Orchid. But still no ultimate. Yeah, you just get stats instead. Why would you need that ultimate? Now, I gotta be completely honest. I think that's probably bad. Right? It's one of those things where during this kind of era, right? During this time, I feel like players were very happy to just skill stats instead of going for abilities. This was definitely even worse than previous TIs. TI 1 was like nearly every hero would just get stats instead of one of their spells. I'm not sure if not getting the ultimate is good. I get skilling it last, but... Oh, do they? No, there's nobody here. Doesn't even bother. But you can even see the Gyrocopter is, you know, not maxing out his abilities right there. Only 1 point into missile, only 3 points into the Q, going for stats instead. Pretty normal, and that honestly, that stays around for a while. But nonetheless, the Windrunner ultimate, it's not a great one. It still feels like it would be more useful than, you know, +2 all stats, but I don't know. Remember meta AM build 1401 and stats. Actually, the meta AM build for a lot of this time is 111 and then stats. Single point blink, single point Q, single point E. and you just get stats. The burning build. And you would start skilling the blink at around level 7 or 8. Alright, we're smoking up. Now, this is still winnable for Tong Fu, right? Like, they lost the bear lane of racks, and that does definitely matter. But honestly speaking, they still have a good amount. But I think at this stage, they just tilted. Right? The Visage being out of position like that is uncharacteristic. It's just a huge misplay. Right? And this entire fight here, Tong Fu frankly just played it very poorly. If I were to guess, I would say that the rest of this game rattled them, and they just didn't really have the mental fortitude anymore. Which I can't blame them for that. I definitely can't blame them for that. But it seems that Navi is gonna finish it now. And yeah, this is the Fountain Hook game. This is that legendary match. It wasn't that many Fountain Hooks, was it? Alright, I think it was 3 that really hurt. The one on the Doom, the one on the Gyro. I guess actually 4. There was one early on the Gyro when they were pushing the bottom lane. So 2 on Gyrocopter, one's with an Aegis, and then the one at the very end where they called out the Visage. Wasn't that many, but turns out that in this style of game, right, in this meta game, losing a hero just really matters. It's just really important. Oh, not again! Oh, this poor Visage. He's just having such a hard time, honestly. There we go.
I cannot believe that they actually did it. Funnick's going to be running here as well, though, from Tong Fu. Funnick vacuum back. Lockdown cleans
There goes Funnick. But it doesn't matter. So, during this time, Mega Creeps were so strong that you could reasonably go AFK and just let them finish the match. Of course you wouldn't, right? And particularly I think against the Gyrocopter, maybe that's not entirely true. Gyrocopter is definitely one of the few heroes that can deal with them fairly effectively. But, oh, look at that, Gyro just died. But yeah, Mega Creeps were just game winning. Like, straight up, the game is over now, game winning. And everything afterwards was just like kind of ritual more so than something that needed to be done. And that's how Navi takes it. That's the classic Fountain Hook game. That's the big one. So I hope this was interesting to you. I hope you enjoyed this. And I thought it would be fun to like go and watch these games and have a little look at what Dota history is like, right? Look at how young they are. Look at baby Dendi. No, isn't, I don't know, I've always think that's so funny. Everybody's so young back then. Admittedly, I mean, they are older than me. Alright. So like I was God, how old was I when this was live? This is like 9 years ago, right? 9-ish years ago? God, was I 18? Long time ago. But yeah, anyway. So that was the Fountain Hook game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had some fun. Please let me know if you did like it, what you would like me to change, if there's any improvements I can make. And then also, please let me know what games you want to see in the future. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.